All right, I got a pretty cool podcast today. We're here with Brenden Stein, and he's 18 years old, has built a seven-figure business. With that, Brenden, maybe you can give everybody a high-level overview of who you are, and let's start there.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, my name is Brenden Stein. I have been doing business since I was 14 years old. On a, not on a very, on a large scale where, at 15, I was already making like 50,000 a month, which is pretty crazy for a lot of people to hear. 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long time now. I'm 18, almost 19, and we've done over $1 million. We've mentored 3,000 plus people across the world, and it's been pretty cool.
Nice, man. So with that being said, you were 15 making 50 G's a month, right? So you're making more than your teachers. What was that like?
I really didn't care in school because I don't know if it was arrogance, but I was like, I'm making so much money. I was in class making like $1,000 or $2,000, and I didn't care. And I think when you're 15 making that much money, there's a bit of arrogance to it, Mm-hmm. So I think back then there was some arrogance. Nowadays, I'm not so arrogant. But when you're 14, 15 making a lot of money, it's definitely a crazy experience. You're making, heavy amounts of money.
Yeah. I mean, even for people, usually most people that build their first $1 million business or they kind of make their first $1 million, they usually go through that phase where they have arrogance and then the market shifts or something happens and that business maybe fades out and they kind of come back around, right? So, dude, I would expect you to be pretty arrogant if you're making more than, your teachers.
I definitely was for sure.
What about so maybe share with everybody, what were you doing at 15 years old, and we'll kind of jump into what you're doing now here in a bit. What were you doing at 15?
Yeah, man. So it's actually the same business I've been doing since I was 14. I had a different business before. We were doing physical drop shipping. And we started there with physical drop shipping, right? And from there, I started documenting that at 14 years old. So I was on social media, on TikTok, documenting that, and it was actually blowing up like crazy. And people wanted to learn, so I came out with the course, just teaching people what I was doing. Because people wanted to learn that. So we were making like anywhere from 30 to like 70,000 a month with just my course at 15 years old, because so many people wanted to learn what I was doing with drop shipping. So that is originally what I was doing at that time, was I was teaching people what I was doing with my drop shipping. And eventually the course became way bigger than my drop shipping because so many people wanted to learn.
Yeah, and that's kind of the natural cycle, right? For most people is they master a skill set or they master something, and then, they can keep doing what they're doing. But, one thing one of my mentors said is once you master the skill, the next thing is to create leverage, and you create leverage by teaching. So same thing in a company. Like for me, I can do sales, and I've done sales for a long time. The first job I ever had was with a guy named Grant Cardone. This was straight out of college. And dude, I did sales, but eventually got to the point where, okay, I know I can do deals. And I got to the point where I was making 40 to 60,000 a month as a remote closer. This was before it was cool. This was in 2017.
That's great, for sure.
Yeah. So point being is the next thing for me was to, teach it and, really build a big sales team. And for you, it kind of seemed like that's what happened is you were doing well, digital drop shipping, which for everybody right now, maybe you can just explain what is digital drop shipping.
Yeah, no. So actually I was originally doing regular drop shipping when I was little, 14, 15. And then I started teaching people how to do that business. And then, basically the course blew up far heavier than the actual drop shipping stuff did. But nowadays we do something a bit different where we teach people digital drop shipping. And the way that business works is when you buy the rights to a course or a guide or an ebook, something of like a digital item nature, and you rebrand that to sell. Okay. So we're just buying the rights to a digital item or course and rebranding that.
Got it. So you started off drop shipping, then you started to teach. And then with that being said, when you were doing that, was it all just through social media organically, or were you running ads?
No, it was at that time all organically, on mainly TikTok. We were really, really popping on TikTok for sure.
Okay. And then with what you're doing now, do you implement, is everything you do right now? I see you're pretty active on social media, right? You have 156,000 followers. I think that's right. I don't know if it's
yeah.
Okay. Are you mostly getting clients through just posting on social media, or do you also run ads?
That's actually a great question. and this goes out for anybody who does organic marketing, that eventually will not let you scale to a certain level, because there were so many times where we were getting like 10 million views in a month, and then we would get like a couple 100K. And that's a big difference when you're trying to grow your business. It's hard to grow your business with just organic marketing. So these days we do 3 things: organic marketing, cold outreach, and paid ads.
Nice. So 2 of those are virtually free, right? Which organic, it's free to post. And then outreach, I'm guessing you have guys on commission basis, right? They'll reach out to people, or do you give them a base?
Yeah, so we cold DM all of our followers, likers, and mainly followers and likers right now. And those are just just cheap VA.
Okay, got it. So you're not even necessarily giving them a commission. I think for a lot of people, one thing that stops them from starting a business is, dude, I don't necessarily have the capital to start, So with you, I'm guessing when you were 14 or 15 or even getting started with this, what did you invest to get started? Like, what did you actually invest?
Dude, I had like $500 to $800 max when I started in my bank account. That is what I had at 14. And that was just from like birthday money and like simple things. So that's literally what I had in my bank when I very first started in 2019, my whole journey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then for most people right now that I guess you're working with, for them to realistically get started, let's just say that obviously they decide to work with you, right? What does someone actually need to get started with digital drop shipping? Do they need a $5,000, $10,000, a couple $100?
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to start it on your own, you would just need like $100 because you just have to buy the rights to an item and rebrand it. But the thing is this, right? The main issue with starting a business is never capital, right? I mean, unless you want to start like a salon or something, like a physical place. But with an online business, most of the time people are just uneducated and unwilling to learn, right? I'm sure you also see that, like they're just not willing to learn. They know where to go to get the lessons. They know they don't need millions of dollars to start. They just don't want to educate themselves with the time it takes to educate themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, with that being said, obviously when you started off, now you talked about the 3 things you do, right? So 1 is organic content, number 2 is outreach, and then number 3 is there is some advertising, right? But when you first got started, you weren't running ads, you were just posting, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it was mainly TikTok and stories, but you can't grow a business forever just organically, I think any good business online needs to do all 3 things: organic content, cold outreach, and ads. I think any good business should be hitting all 3 sectors. That's what I really think.
So I do agree, and the reason why I agree is because one thing I've experienced is I ran a lot of ads on my end, and there was a point where there was a business that I had that was doing 100, 150 a week regularly for a year, and something happened to my Facebook ad account, and then the ads were down, right? And I was relying heavily on that. So I had one way to get customers, one way to get clients. And that's why I think that it's super important for people to have multiple ways that they're going about it and multiple traffic sources. That's going to make a more durable business, right? So on your end, what's that look like split wise? How much of your revenue is coming from organic? How much is from outreach, and how much is from ads?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that in 1 sec, but I want to actually touch on one thing you said. Like, for example, you're running, the $5 million a year company, your ads go out, boom, like, you know what I mean? Like, now you can get a new ad account, but like, it definitely is, it's not fun, all that type of stuff. You have to get the ads up again. And with Facebook, sometimes you have an amazing ad, you re-put it up and it does like shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll have an ad for $3 a lead. I re-put the same ad up and I'm getting no leads at all. And it's the same ad. There are those complications. And there was a point where I was so heavily reliant on TikTok. And when I got banned, I went from like 60, 70K a month to like 10, like that. And I had to rebuild things up because I relied on that, and it took me down for a little bit. So I definitely agree with that. And on to the second question, that was like, what percent is each? We're probably, this is an exact number, it'd be an estimate, but sure. I would probably say that half is from organic, 25 from ads, and then 25 from outreach.
That's That's really, really good. Meaning that from organic, you're doing, 30, 50 G's a month, somewhere around there from just organic, people finding you through the algorithm, something like that. Is that right?
Organic's always been my main thing since I started. Like that's always been my number one thing. Ads and outreach have just been like the other things I do, but I want to get really much heavier on ads. I really want to go to a new level, and I feel like ads are the way I'm going to do that, with taking that to a new level.
Yeah, absolutely. And with ads, the thing that I found, and this is just my experience, is to really make ads work, you need a value ladder. You do need a value ladder, and you need different tiers of products. And the thing that helped me grow was I was liquidating ad spend. For anybody watching this, that means that I would spend $1 and I would immediately make $1 to $2 back. And then because I had a value ladder, I have different tiers of services. All of that was profit.
Right.
So I think that the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of the marketplace right now has been sold on the idea of run an ad to a video and then have them book a call. And they have one product, one offer, one traffic source. And don't get me wrong, you can do that. I have a buddy who's now a client that he's doing $800,000 a month right now. 97% of it is from ads, and he's running that.
And so you're meaning like give them something for free or for like whatever, like $7, $9, put them in an email list, and then kind of ascend them through your upsells. Is that right?
Yep. So it could look like that. It could look at a lot of different ways, but typically I like to break it into 3 categories, which is one, intro products, which an intro product could be anywhere from $7 to $297. Could be somewhere in that range usually. And then you have the next tier, which is like, let's just say mid-ticket, anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, maybe $10,000, and then you have the high ticket, and that those things can range. Someone's mid ticket could be $1,000, and their high ticket could be, right, $5,000 to $8,000. And the thing is, this though is as long as you have the process on the back end to ascend people, where it's a part of the customer journey. Like for me, one thing I like to do is I'll look at just traditional businesses and look at how my experience is with them and how do they ascend me. And even with Amazon to me, their intro product is their Amazon Prime membership. And dude, they recoup a lot of spend just from people being subscribed on Prime. And then the upsell is you buying products. And that's something where with ads, I found that is the way to have longevity with ads. If you do it the other way, like my buddy's doing, is eventually what's going to happen is that ad to video to like high ticket product, the ROAS, the return on ad spend, will go down, and he doesn't have a proper value ladder, and he's going to have to figure something out. He's going to have to add another product, or you could try shifting the angle to keep it alive, but the easiest way is to have that value ladder.
So right now he's doing $800K a month, and that's all front end sales, high ticket.
Just
front end
one product, one offer.
Right. So just a front end, whatever, 2K, 3, whatever it might be, just a front end sale.
Just a front end sale.
Wow.
And
right now we do a DM funnel. So we say like on our ad, we would say like, hey, I'm giving away a free guide or a free video. People DM you send them the free guide, and then you put them through, like you book them in the DM. So we do the DM closing or DM setting type of funnel, where again they come in for a free guide, and then you close them or book them from there.
And that works really well when you have good content, right? For the DM funnel. The thing that we're doing with him, because he's going straight to booking and he's doing deals, so he's building his outbound team to call people that weren't qualified or they didn't book, and basically put them back on the calendar. And then he's adding another level above, which that's just going to make him more durable and allow his business to serve people at all the need in all the ways they want to be served. Because there are people that will only do it if it's going to be basically there's more support, more hands-on, more one-on-one, right? With that being said, what's your strategy? Because you built TikTok from organic, right? And then you obviously have your Instagram account, which it has a large following as well. What's your mentality with creating content? How do you actually create a strategy that not just gets followers, but more importantly, it turns into revenue?
There's so many ways to go about this, but here's the first thing I'll say is you got to have a team of creators or editors who are really good at what they do, right? I have editors who kind of do a lot of my reels, my TikToks for me these days, and the power of that, like having a guy who just knows social media like that, and he goes, hey, let's do this type of video. Like, let's do this. Here's the video I want to do. Like, having someone like that on your team who tells you what he wants you to do, who tells you what we're going to be making, who tells you why, that is powerful. Because when I first started out, I was just me editing and all that stuff. And again, it only worked for so long until I couldn't keep up with the market and these crazy editors. And I was like, oh, I got to get editors, know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Having the right editor can change your business for life.
Yeah, the editors are getting really, really good. It's something where, dude, they're like the thing is the information to how to edit videos, and then with CapCut, it makes it super simple. A lot of them are using CapCut now. Do you go overseas, or do you have somebody that helps you in the US?
No, my guys are out of the US, just cheaper. And one of the best things is when you have somebody who goes way above and beyond what you pay him. Like, he cares. Like, he loves your brand, and they go above and beyond what you're paying them. You know, like they go out of their way to do extra things for you, to get you extra videos, to give you more ideas. Like, having an editor or a social media manager, whatever it might be, who's passionate about your project it's just phenomenal, right? And I feel like I have someone right now who he's working with me for a long time now, absolutely phenomenal, and he's totally on board with the mission, and that's really helpful for any businesses. You have to sell your employees on your vision, right? You can't just sell your customers, because if your employees aren't bought in either, they're not going to do the proper job.
Yeah, that's extremely important, actually, and that's something where, for me, like I could pop up a sales team pretty fast. I run a group. It has like 6,000 sales reps, and I don't charge for the group. It's just a value-based group where people post jobs and that kind of deal. But point being is, though, if I pop up a team and the guy that takes over the team is the manager, and he's not communicating the vision of Absolutely. What we're trying to accomplish, the team will die, or people will fade out and whatnot. So I think that's extremely important. And on your end, I think it's also something you said was, man, if you have an editor, it'll change your business. It will change your life, right? And what it sounds like is you didn't just get an editor, you got someone that actually is thinking with some strategy, which is, I think it's a little bit harder to find, where they understand.
Let's just say social media strategist and editor, because it's not like I just tell him what to do. He tells me, hey, let's do this video. This is why. Oh, we want to get followers. Do this. We want to get DMs. So he's more of like a social media strategist / editor. And I have two editors, and they're both like that. So it's even more than just an editor. It's more of a strategist and things of that nature.
That's amazing. And that's one thing where, that one person can, change your business. And now you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about the next thing, right? But to do that, you had to invest in paying them. And you don't necessarily know. I mean, you have an idea, maybe looking at their work or whatnot, but they're on your payroll now, right? So, on your end, when did you actually go ahead and you were at the point in your business where you're like, hey, I want to pay someone and bring them in? Was it pretty early on, or was it something where it took you a while to actually start delegating?
Are you referring to my first ever employee?
Let's just say with this last, what you're doing right now with your digital drop shipping. Did you bring someone on right away, or did it take you a while?
So pretty much my first year in business, which was 2020. This is okay. So I got my first employee. So again, it's the same business where it's like selling digital items. But I got a closer pretty much a year in. Okay. And it got to a point where, again, I couldn't really handle all the DMs. And I kind of understood that I wouldn't be able to grow where I wanted to grow without somebody. So once you get to a level where you're at a cap, like if you don't get someone on your team, like you're not going to get to a higher income level, you have to just take the shot, get someone on your team, right? If you really know like you're at a plateau where you cannot manage to get more deals in or whatever, if you don't hire somebody, don't be cheap, right? Don't be cheap. Get someone on your team. People are so cheap. Get someone on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So So with that being said, why do you feel like it's so hard for people to invest in themselves and in their business?
They're scared of the uncertainties, and I think we all sometimes are. But I think scaredness of, if I pay this, am I going to get it back? If I pay this, is it going to work? But just so much uncertainties that are just corrupting their minds, and they're just letting it take over, and it just ultimately ruins their business, to be general.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I also feel like people maybe have a bad experience, or they tried something else and it failed. So then they're trying to take that experience into the next thing, right? It's like, absolutely, man, ads didn't work for me before. So, I have a guy that can run my ads, and dude, he wants me to pay him. It's probably not going to work again. Well, you got to look at his experience, his track record. What's his strategy, and how's it different than what happened before? It's a new situation, right? And that's what I feel like holds most people back, is they take those past failures and experiences into this new decision. It's a new thing. It's not the same thing, right? Why else would somebody fail though, in your perspective with the digital dropshipping? Let's just say that they invested in themselves. Now they're doing it, right? Why would someone not be successful with this model?
Right. So we work with consumers, right? 9-to-5ers, college students, high schoolers. And it goes to a level of their mindset is in the wrong place. Just education alone isn't always enough. Sometimes, because these people are already ingrained in a certain, systematical mindset of like 9 to 5. So when they understand they have to actually study a business, learn it, put 3 hours a day in, you might not make money your first 2 weeks. Like, they don't understand that. And I think a lot of people give up because they're used to the whole system of whatever time I put in, they get paid for it, right? With the business, that's not how it works at all. You have to study it, learn it, then implement it, and then it has to take a little bit of time to build the momentum up. So I think people just have a 9-to-5 or college or student mindset, and they're not prepared for what you need to be thinking when you run a business. It's a whole different ballgame,
Yeah, it's definitely a shift, right? And that's the thing is this, and like one of the things that I teach and is like, for me, I had a big quantum leap in my life when I was working with Grant. I started my own business, so I was already an entrepreneur. But after that, I had a marketing agency. This was before it was cool, and I exited it. And then I was a free agent. I was a free agent, and I was looking for the next deal. So I worked with the company that ran ads. It was We Run Ads. That was the company. And basically, they were doing $100K a month. And I got connected with the owner. I basically said, hey, look, dude, I can come on. We can. I want to increase your revenue. You don't have to pay me a retainer. Just pay me a percentage of the growth. And that deal is a deal where, for me, maybe 5 years prior, I wouldn't have done that deal. I would have said, hey, it's a few $1,000s a month. But when it's the right opportunity and you have the right skill sets, you actually have this shift where, dude, you want to work off performance because there's upside potential and you can make way more. If it's just an hourly rate or a set rate, there's not that upside potential, right?
There's not much incentive either, There's not much incentive to go out and hunt and do the work.
Exactly, right? So it depends on the deal structure. Don't get me wrong. Like, we have services where we chart, like, people pay us for the service, right? But in certain cases, we'll do straight up rev share deals, like with, the guy that's doing $800K a month. That's a rev share deal. There's no payment on his end. He already has a proven model. I know what I can do, right? But point being is, when somebody has that switch and they realize, man, I have these abilities and these skill sets, I just need the right vehicle or the right thing to market, and it's going to lead to it's not going to lead to $15 an hour. It's going to lead to $1,500 a day. It's going to lead to $1,500 an hour, right? So on your end, let's just, like, again though, I'm gonna ask this: someone's in the business model, they're doing digital dropshipping, that it's day one of their business. Why would they fail? And why would they fail? Why would they be a failure on day 90? They don't have, their first sale. What would be the thing that caused them to fail?
So there's many components in any business, but in digital dropshipping. So, for example, number one is you need leads, right? Who want your digital item. Okay. So Number one is you need leads. Number two is you need a credible page, because what we do is we drive people to the DMs. We show our students how to do that. You need trust on your page, okay? If you don't have trust, you're kind of shit out of luck. And number three is you have to know how to actually conversate in the DMs and close a deal. And number four actually is the offer, okay? So if any of these things are off, you could have 3 out of 4 of these things. You could have amazing lead flow, an amazing offer, great DM skills, but your page looks like your uncle created it. Like, it's just no trust. You're not going to close sales. If you have one little thing missing of any of those things, you're going to fail. So it just comes down to, is your lead flow down? Is your credibility in your page down? Is your DM conversation, skills down? And is your offer down? If you can do all 4 of those things, I guarantee you're going to have a pretty, solid business.
Okay, I see. And then that's what you help people with. You help them get those 4 things down, and you're guiding them through what worked for you, right? Absolutely. So when someone wants to work with you, what's that look like? Do you work with them? Is it once a week they jump on a group coaching call? And how much does it cost for someone to actually get mentored by you to really build this business the right way?
Yeah, so the way our program works is pretty much when they first join in, we do have a set course video structure they watch that kind of breaks it down. And in that course, we actually do hook them up with our digital item to sell, and we provide them with the website. And then what we do is we actually show them how to build their own faceless pages. Okay, so they build faceless pages to grow and drive in leads, and we give them DM scripts to close the sales. Okay, so we give them everything they need, and then we give them also 2 Zoom calls a week. So we pretty much hook them up with the item, website, the faceless strategy, the DM scripts, and we give them the coaching on top of that.
Nice. So it's they're ready to roll. Actually, I didn't connect the dots here, but I do have somebody that I met in Vegas, and they're doing the master resale rights thing. It's kind of similar to that in a way, where it's the same concept, different name, right? And then on your end, when they're working with you, what's it cost for someone to work with you, and have you be their mentor?
We have multiple packages. So we have right now we have a 1.5K. We have a 500 and a 300. Depends on the lead's budget.
Sure.
The more they pay, the more support they get. That's pretty much different. It's all the same program, but the more you pay, the more support you would receive with it.
So, dude, for $1,500 though, obviously you've done, north of $1 million. Someone can get you as their mentor and work with you for 90 days, or is it 12 months, or is it ongoing?
It's actually lifetime. And the reason we have that is because we take 1% of their sales too. So that's another good part is it's almost like they get to partner up with us. So the better we train them to do, we also take 1% for lifetime as well. So it's kind of like a good scenario. But
yeah, that's a good business model where you essentially have somebody that's, promoting, and it's a win-win on both sides, where, they get support and there's a percentage when they sell your product. Obviously, if they make their own, or if they go do a different one, they keep 100%, right?
If we could do our job amazingly, I mean, we can get to a point where we have 5,000-10,000 people selling the item we give them, you can reach a pretty dang big empire at that point. So, this is only a couple months old, so we have a couple hundred people, which is still a good amount. But if we do our jobs properly over the next year here, it could definitely be pretty crazy.
There's actually a guy that is doing a similar model to this, and he's in a group chat. There's this mastermind group chat I'm in, and his name's Philip Johansson. Have you heard of him? Yeah.
He's doing big, yeah.
So, dude, I think he has a few thousand people, and 3.5 years ago he was a plumber or something, and he's doing the same thing, dude. He's using Instagram, he's promoting with pages, and he's selling a digital product, right? Because it's high profit margins and you don't have to worry about the goods. The fulfillment is handled. It's a really simple model. I would say that this model is it's definitely simpler than dropshipping. It's definitely simpler than the agency model. The only thing maybe simpler, I don't even know if it's simpler, would be affiliate. But with affiliate, you're sometimes selling goods, the percentages aren't as high. I mean, what are your thoughts? Maybe you get that. Hey, is this affiliate marketing?
The funny part is you can name one business 4 different things. You can call this digital dropshipping, reselling digital items, MMR, or MRR. You can call it affiliate marketing. You can call it digital e-commerce. So the thing is, people are like, oh, it's not dropshipping or digital. It's it's affiliate. But really, you can name. There's 5 different names to one business. It just depends on who's saying it. Like you can say remote setter, you can say, digital sales. Like there's so many ways you can reword a business.
Yeah.
That it's all the same thing. It's just different ways different people say it, you know?
Yeah. Would there be any difference? Because I guess what is the difference? Is there a difference? Because when I think about traditional affiliate marketing, I think about going to an affiliate network, and I think about, there's different products and different things you could promote, and there's a set commission. Some of them pay per lead, some of them pay per a sale, some of them pay 100%, some of them pay 20%, right? Is that not really a thing where people are comparing it? They're just kind of like, what is this?
Well, I guess it happens every here and there, but I guess the proper definition of affiliate marketing is when you promote a company's item and you get a percentage. So technically you could name it affiliate marketing, but the difference is like with most affiliates, it's just like, here's our link. You give us a client, we'll give you a small percent. With ours, it's more so like you build your own page up. We show you how to do it. We take a smaller percent. You take most of the majority. And it's a little bit more training, hands-on, and you're building your own business. So you could technically call it affiliate marketing just because, again, the definition just means to promote an item and take a percent. But the way we think of it is more of you're building your own like platform, you're building your own like Instagram, your own TikTok, and we're just helping you out by giving you our item to sell. We're taking a small percent.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense. And then with you, what's kind of like what's the goal for you? What's the goal for your business over the next year?
Yeah. I can't go too much, but just to give you a vague idea of the goal is honestly, if we can have 2,000-3,000 people selling our product, and them getting, let's just say half of them get one sale a day. I mean, dude, that could be 500 sales a day, right? So that's one major goal. But another goal of mine is to be impactful to people. It's not just money. I really feel like impacting people is important, and spreading the word of God. I'm a Christian, so I believe in spreading the word of God with my platform and things of that nature. I think all those things need to align. You can't just be in it for the money,
And where do you feel like the drive comes on your end to, actually build a business and kind of go down this different path versus, just going to a 4-year university?
I think it's passion. I've always loved business. Since I was like 8 years old, I just always loved business. And I think a lot of people don't understand that because they don't have, their passion might be in like football or baseball. My passion has always been making money in like business. I just love it. I wake up and I love it. I love the vision. I love the goal. I love the business. I love what I do. And again, I just think it's passion. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if you're born with it. I don't know if you get it. I just have it,
Got it. And no, I get what you're saying. So right now, your company, it's done 7 figures, right? And when you were growing up, did you sell candy or sell something at school?
Dude, I did a lot of things.
Okay.
I sold chocolate in 5th grade.
Yeah.
In 7th grade, I was reselling Fortnite accounts.
Okay.
I was, flipping Instagram theme pages before all this. I was doing eBay drop shipping. I was reading, finance books in elementary school. So I've always just loved making money in business. So honestly, it's just been something I've kind of always really been passionate about.
Got it. And yeah, same on my end, man. When I was growing up, I did sell candy. I used to wrestle, so that was what I did. And you go to tournaments like the national ones, and you would bargain and right. Trade and that kind of stuff, right? And I remember when I made
with the candy, every entrepreneur started with candy.
Oh, dude, most of them did, right? Dude, I was running a little empire, bro. I think I was selling 70 to 80 units a day, candy bars a day. Dude, I was cranking, dude. I was making like 2 G's a month in like 7th grade. I know. Yeah, for me, that was pretty good. It wasn't, but to kind of put it in perspective though, in 7th grade, maybe 2 years later, I was still doing it. I was making maybe $2,000 a month, dude. You were making 50 G's, 50,000 a month, So
yeah, I mean, definitely. But I've also in your day, there probably wasn't all the Instagrams and
Instagram wasn't out yet, dude. As soon as Instagram came out, though, I remember I was in college. I went to Cornell University, upstate New York, and Instagram came out. It was maybe out like a few months before that, but it was in college where I found out about it. And I remember I posted a couple pictures, and dude, I had a buddy that's like, man, I just started this page, and dude, I'm selling stuff on it. And I'm like, what? And dude, back then, so this was like 10 years ago. So I did set up a different page. They didn't call it a theme page, but it was a different page, and there was a super sketchy software where you downloaded it on your computer. It was there's other softwares that came after, but this one was sketchy. It was like I paid a guy in India $50, and then I downloaded the file. I didn't know if I was going to get a virus, and with that software, I could do 500 messages a day. I could like 1,000 photos a day. I could follow 1,000 people, unfollow. Like, dude, there was no rules back then. The policies. Right. Yeah. And then that's why they say marketers kill everything, because that didn't last forever, but it lasted probably 8 months or 9 months. But dude, I was making $10,000 in my dorm room selling on Instagram, just using this tool. And that really is what opened my mind to like, dude, you can do online business with social media.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And you went from an Ivy League to like, online. We're like the outcasts, like online business people, because we're like the people who just said, no, we're just going to do this stuff online. And you go to an Ivy League school, they're expecting you to go to like down like the hedge fund or something. I don't know, some crazy like corporate system. You went the outlaw route. You went to the online business space.
Yeah, I've always been I've always went the other route. What's the word for it, man? I'm looking for a word here, but if this is the normal path, I'm looking at this other route. But it did end up coming full circle, because I did have buddies that went to Wall Street, and they kind of went down that path. And eventually, dude, I did do the online path, and it came full circle because eventually I realized I wanted to learn how to structure companies to sell them, which is more traditional. So working with business bankers and actually figuring out what's the way to build a company to sell it. And I'm not necessarily looking at acquiring companies. I'm looking at building them to sell, and what that playbook was. And that was, again, another learning path. So for me, my
about selling like a personal brand, because I mean, I know you're in this whole space, and it's hard to sell that because the brand is you. So what's your opinion on how do you go about selling a personal brand?
So right now, I've done this. I've exited 2 companies, and the last one was with something that was a personal brand. We shifted it to be a brand on its own, kept sales volume the same, and basically there's a strategy to do that, but it's possible to do it. And the beautiful part about doing it is because you're selling this, and it's not like a $20 or $50 million exit. It's going to be 4 to 6x whatever the profit is in the business. So if you netted 700 G's, you could walk away with a few $1,000,000. But because it's a few $1,000,000, there's not a non-compete, or if it is, maybe it's for a year with this specific product that you're kind of offloading, right? But you still have your personal brand page, so you can keep going. So really? we could talk about more of that off camera, but there's a strategy to it. And most people that build, so I think the evolution is this. So most people build their first course, they make some money. Eventually the market, that gets saturated. Like, other people start doing it. That's just the nature of the game. And then it dies out. But for me, what I realize is if you can kind of like catch the new wave and have it run for at least 3 years, you need at least 3 years in business, you're able to actually exit. And then, hey, if it's still hot, you can keep doing it, or you can go to the next deal. So that's what I think is, that's not maybe the next wave, but I think more people will start to have attention on that. And that's what I've been studying the last few years. So I studied sales, which was me working at Grant's office. I studied marketing, and then I studied systems and ops. And in this last few years, I've been studying how to actually, sell a company.
Yeah, right now I'm not looking to sell, but I actually have always been curious about because I want to find a way to, sell off something at least, because, that's a big piece of our business. And I've always been kind of like, how am I going to do that? I'm a personal brand. It's me.
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing. It's definitely a process. and you're working with bankers and attorneys and whatnot, but it's definitely possible too. And we'll talk about that off camera. With that being said, so when you were growing up, and did you have entrepreneurs in your family, or was that something where you just kind of gravitated towards it on your end?
My father is a lawyer, so pretty much. But it wasn't like he ever spoke to me about anything like that, because he was always just so concerned and focused on his stuff that I never learned anything from him really. I don't know if it was a subconscious thing of just seeing him that made me passionate, or if it was really just what I was born with. I don't really know how I got that, but yeah, he was, for example, a very, very successful lawyer, and it could have been a subconscious thing. Who knows? But yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Was it business law or just general law, or what kind of law was it?
Personal injury.
Okay, personal injury. So he's definitely successful and he's doing personal injury, but it wasn't necessarily business per se. And there wasn't anybody else in your family?
His office space, he had employees, and so it was obviously his business. He was he owned the firm, but no, he wasn't a business lawyer or anything.
Okay. I see. And typically I would ask someone, if they're 30, right? What would you tell your 18-year-old self? But dude, you're 18 right now. So, dude, what do you tell yourself every day? When you're waking up or you're kind of organizing your day, what's your schedule look like on a daily basis?
Yeah. So I'll start off with the first thing. What you tell yourself is, how can I level up today, right? I think not enough people think of their life in a video game format. How do I level up my character? So for me, I'm all right, if I'm gonna level up my business, I gotta do X amount of things to do so. If I'm gonna level up my body today, I gotta eat this much, I gotta work out this much, okay? If I'm gonna level up with God, I gotta read this much. So you have to think of it in a manner of, how am I gonna level up all these different attributes today? Okay, not enough people think like that. That's how I think, okay? Now, the way my days are typically structured is, I'm honestly home most of the time. People think you're an entrepreneur, you must be living you must be going out all day and you're at parties. I'm home working all day. I don't know what these people are talking about. I'm literally on calls all day, sales calls, team calls, content filming, gym, reading the Bible. It's simple life like that, really. It's not nothing crazy.
Were you always pretty disciplined growing up, or as an entrepreneur you became more disciplined?
It's a good question. I don't even necessarily know if it's discipline. I just think I just love my goals so much, and I love what I do, and I love my vision, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So I think, again, when you're bought in on your goal, when you have sold yourself on your goal and you love it so much, you don't need anything else. You just love it. You wake up and you're like, dude, I'm ready to get after this. I think it's just passion. That's what it really comes down to. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to be passionate. Got it.
So if there was anything you would share with your 14-year-old self or 15-year-old self, right, on how to fast track, the route to success, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did a lot of things pretty well, of course, because I did pretty good for myself as a teenager, but there's always things that I could have done a lot better. And I think investing more in mentoring. I feel like I did some, but I feel like I could have had even more mentoring to really help me. And I think taking advantage of soaking in as much knowledge as possible. I think that's really important. I know it sounds cliche, but if you can be really knowledgeable in your field, if you can know everything like the back of your hand quick, you're going to be so much ahead of everybody else. So I think taking even more time to educate myself even more, just really learning as much as I possibly can. I think that really will be something I would tell my young self for sure.
Gotcha. And then, for all of the, older people, younger people that are, looking to really do something online, right? And maybe that's a bit of inspiration. What has been your, biggest day in terms of revenue, from your online business?
Yeah, for me, it's not impressive, but for someone who's like a 9-to-5er, it might be like I made, for example, a high day in revenue was like 10,000. Again, it's not very high compared to maybe some of the bigger guys in the space. But for a 9 to 5er, if you're, let's say when I was like, let's say you're a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid making, 1K to 2K to 3K, even up to 10K in a day, it's pretty crazy to them. But maybe for the big dogs in the space, it's not. But again, if you're someone who's working at like an office making 60K a year and you see a 18-year-old making a couple of thousand a day, it's pretty impressive. So yeah,
I think it's amazing, man. Most people will not make even $1,000, a day. They're just not going to do that, right? So I think that's super impressive. I don't necessarily have any other questions for you, man. I appreciate your time, and it's actually really good to connect with you. It's actually inspiring and curious, man. You actually said something off camera, but so how did you? I guess you recognize the name, or was the face, or?
Yeah, I think I don't know how many years ago it was, but I saw a YouTube video. It was like a gold digger prank, and you were the guy, right? Who pretty much, you were the guy, the rich guy. And I think this was before I even had this must have been like 4 or 5 years ago by now.
Yeah.
So I was inspired by that. Yeah.
Dude, that's funny, man. I didn't realize it, but someone told me the other day, they're like, dude, cause I've had that pop up a couple times, but dude, I guess those videos have like 20 million views now. So I'm like, oh damn, dude, that's crazy. Yeah. When I first, so for me, I did run my personal brand, and then I had the thing where I was like, man, I want to build something to sell. So I did go on a journey. And that's why I actually stepped off social media. And now that process is like, it's came to fruition, it's like, all right, cool, we're back. And, I'm doing social media content again. But anyways, man, it was good to have you on. Appreciate the time. And if anybody wants to, you guys can go ahead and find his socials down below, and we'll see you in the next one.